doing today, sir?
Terrific form, really sparkling.
I am super happy you came in today. I'm a big fan of your work.
Oh, thank you.
And I really enjoyed State of the Union.
Oh, cheers, Steve.
So what's interesting about this is in this era of like crazy television, this is an unusual show because it's 10 episodes at 10 minutes each.
That's right. Yeah, it's unusual. I think it's the future of TV. I think we're coming from a world where people of a certain age are watching all of their stuff in 5-minute content on YouTube. So eventually, content will probably become a little bit shorter just because we're so used to shorter content.
Well, the thing about the internet and just content in general is TV was designed as 30 minutes to sell commercials.
That's right.
And now there shouldn't be. I mean, in my opinion, the length should be the length, what it needs to be.
That's right. And I suppose now that we're also not beholden necessarily to network formats and everything is more streamy. It's going to be more fluid. There's a lot of like water analogies going on here, but yeah. But more importantly, it's an interesting show because it's the 10 minutes before a couple go into marriage therapy every week. So I think watching any more than that would be just gruesome.
I definitely want to go backwards and find out how you first got involved in this thing. You're like, and scene.
You know what? I did a film called Juliet Naked.
Which is awesome.
With Nick Hornby, who sadly can't be here today.
Because he hates you.
He, weirdly, is a gymnastics coach.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know if you know this about Nick. He's such a smart guy, but also he's a part-time gymnastics coach back in England, and he had a big championship today. So the boys and girls had a big thing. It's an underage gymnastics, but he's going to try and come in tomorrow and see how his people place. But Nick and I had worked together on Juliet Naked, and I got a call from either him or Stephen Frears, who I had worked with before on the Lance Armstrong cycling thing. And
just keep on dropping names because it's not enough.
Well, only because Stephen directed it.
Right, no.
It's not like I met him at a party.
Right, no.
But so they asked if I was interested, and I was, because I'm such a huge fan of Rosamund Pike, who plays my wife in this, and so it all came together quite quickly.
I am the thing that people won't know until they see it is that the abundance of dialogue that takes place in this series. And I was watching it, and I just couldn't help but think to myself, how the F did you memorize all this? Because it is nonstop back and forth between the two.
You know what? Usually, like, a question that you get as an actor from normal people is, how do you learn all the words? And 99 times out of 100, it's not hard. It's just because you don't film that much. You only film 5 or 6 pages a day at most if you're doing a film. And there's lots of other people talking, and it's not that big of a deal. On a TV show, I'm a lead on a TV show now, and it's lots of dialogue, but it's totally manageable. This was the hardest I've ever had it, because it's kind of 12 pages every day, and then you finish the end of the day, and you realize you have 12 pages again the next day, because we film one episode a day pretty much. So
I want to pause there and just say, as someone who saw the show, I am blown away you did an episode a day.
Thanks.
I don't understand how you did it.
Yeah, it was like doing a short play, a one-act play every day. But I came on board probably last, and Roz was so prepared by the time I got there, I really had to keep up. But it was good, it was...
Yeah, she's what we call talented.
She seriously is. And I didn't want to let her and everybody down. So I think we did relatively well. Sometimes you kind of go into autopilot, and it's sad because you realize for momentarily you're thinking about the words rather than the performance or whatever. But I think you get away with it for the most part.
You must have had all the scripts before filming began.
Yeah.
So how early did you have the scripts, and were you advanced looking at all 10 and trying to get like a backbone done?
There was some of that. There was also I just had a baby. So it was a lot of time at home trying to learn lines at kind of 3 a.m, doing feeds and things like that. But I probably had it down within a month. I probably learned all the lines, and then
whole thing.
Yeah.
And so like each night was just sort of a refresher.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about filming you filmed in one location basically, and this
Yeah.
therapist office is across the street. How do you remember how they decided on that location and what it was like filming there each day?
I guess they like the light in there more than anything else. It is but it's true. It's true. It's to make something look filmic and for the image to be pleasing for such a long time when you're not moving away from it, really. I mean, it is a lot of just back and forth. It has to have a nice light. And this pub did have this beautiful windows out onto the street. It was a typical Victorian bar, which seemed at keeping with the work. And yeah, so we would go back to that bar every morning, and nothing like arriving at a bar at 7 a.m. It always perks you up.
Yeah, it was. So what? I mean, this is probably obvious, but I'm sure it's non-alcoholic. But at the end of each day, are you like, yeah, just hand me the real beer for the last few takes?
Yeah, we would actually. We got into this lovely routine, Roz and I, of obviously, yeah, the beer is non-alcoholic, but at the end of the day, we would always have a bottle of wine and learn the lines for the next day.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be like, I would imagine in that kind of situation, the two actors, you guys really have to get along to pull this thing off, because it's such a two-hander.
It would have been very tricky if we hadn't. And luckily, like, Roz is a very easy person to get along with, and fascinating and smart and so professional and funny. I didn't realize how funny she was before we did this. I'd seen her in a couple of things where I thought, oh wow, I didn't. She's got some comedy chops. Like, is it in an education?
Oh yeah, I think she's in that,
Yeah.
but I don't know how funny she is in that.
I think she is.
Her comedy performance was more a Private War.
I don't know if that's
No, I'm joking. It's like a real serious.
Oh, that's the one that was out
the real
last year.
serious
Shit.
one. Yeah.
But Nick, I think, also wrote an education. I think that's how they knew
Yes,
each
exactly.
other.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, we got on great, which made it a lot easier.
Talk a little bit about, though, drink of choice, because you're sitting there in that bar.
Yes.
You're drinking a beer. I don't know what the beer was. I am curious.
It was an ale.
Do you remember what it was? It was
What I do, actually? It was a London Pride, which is a very common British ale.
I was wondering if there was any debate on using Guinness.
Yeah, there was, and I think I probably would have said no quite quickly, only because it felt... I always worried about me drinking Guinness in scenes. Just feels like, even though it's true to life, maybe it's just too stereotypical.
I learned, this is so off the rails, but I learned with are you a big Guinness drinker?
Sure.
So I'm a big fan also. I've learned that the further away from Dublin, the worse it tastes.
That's the common perception. I don't know. I used to work in a bar in Paris, and I've worked in lots of bars in Dublin. And people used to say that our Guinness wasn't great in this bar in Paris, which made me very angry. And we had the Guinness guys come around and check the pipes and do all of that. And we were importing the booze from Ireland. So it's the same drink. And then I went back to working in bars in Ireland, and I realized, oh, the difference, that special flavor is just that they clean the pipes much less.
By the way, that's probably true and also disturbing.
Yeah, I know. But it does taste better. I don't know why.
All I learned, I went to Dublin recently, and I learned that if you never order the half pint, always order the pint, even if you're not going to finish it,
Sure.
because the top half is always going to taste the best.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and also you have to wait 2 minutes for the drink because you got to let it settle.
Uh-huh.
And anyway, if you haven't drank Guinness, I strongly recommend it. I don't know, we went off on the fucking tangent. When you got offered a project like this, talk a little bit about, is it one of these things where you're debating it, or are you sort of like, oh, I'm doing this? You know what I mean? With
more than anything, when you read it and the other players involved, you're like, oh yeah, this is a no-brainer. And then it's just the scheduling and all that kind of stuff, and moving to London for a while and all of that becomes a thing, because I live in California. So there's a bit of that, but from a creative point of view, it was a very easy decision.
Talk a little bit about the way you like to work. I've spoken to a lot of actors that love doing like their first. They like filming the rehearsal, a take or two, and then they're like, yeah, that you've gotten my best stuff. And others love the Fincher method of doing like 50 takes and keep on going.
It depends what the project is. You know, this was funny because we were doing 12-minute takes, like we'd do the whole thing. So you definitely want a few goes at it. But then that takes up your whole day. You know, I want 5 takes. That's an hour just to film, which is very unusual. For the most part, I don't like doing loads of takes, probably 4. is my sweet spot.
Right? Do you run out? Is like you start hitting like the on take 5? You know what I mean?
Kind of. I feel like I do a lot of prep. So I arrive at set with a fair idea of what I'm going to do, and I've probably got 2 or 3 different versions of that, and then another take with the director. And then what else is there? When I used to do an awful lot of comedy, I would like more because it was so much more improv. And so I'd have a few ideas up my sleeve, or things would come to you. And if you work with Judd Apatow or whatever, it ends up being 7 or 8 takes rather than 3 or 4, because it is just new ideas all the time, the actual new dialogue.
Yeah, I find it fascinating with Judd's working because he gets such great material on set. I just can't imagine what it's like to have to pick between 2 awesome takes that are completely different.
What he's brilliant at as well. He's such a great contributor on his feet. Like him calling out stuff from behind the camera, it doesn't deserve to be as good. I don't know how much prep he has. I meant to ask him that whenever I see him, but if he comes up with alternatives for lines before we shoot the scene, or if he's coming up with that on his feet, because some of the stuff he comes up with on the hoof is really quick and funny.
And that's why he's Judd Apatow.
Yeah.
Like,
my hot take there was that Judd Apatow is funny.
You ready? Before I run out of time with you, we've been playing something called Get to Know Your Sundance Attendee with everyone coming through.
Okay.
It's just, I promise, harmless questions. What TV show would you love to guest star on?
You know what I'm really into at the moment is Succession.
A lot of people are.
Is that right?
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah.
What else? Sesame Street?
Obviously, you have kids.
Yes.
Right.
I wish I had said no.
Right. But by the way, the reason to do Sesame Street is just to be even a better dad.
I know.
You know, because you bring the. How many kids do you have?
I have 2, I think.
Right. You know, I've seen a few movies that let me know that could be your statement could be true.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump off. Do you have a favorite sci-fi or fantasy film?
I don't know if this counts, but I'm going to name one because I felt like it deserved a better audience when it came out. I like Vanilla Sky.
Ooh, Cameron Crowe.
Yeah.
Sure.
I guess it's more sci-fi of the mind, but I liked it.
Sure. Do you have a favorite superhero film? Do you watch any of the superhero movies?
I don't, but I like Superman 2 when he has all the evil people come down from the other place.
Sure. Zod and everybody.
Yes.
Yes, completely. What film scared you as a kid?
I watched Jaws before I should have.
Sure. Do you go swimming, or you're like that still affects you?
Not so much in the sea. Big lake swimmer.
Right, exactly. Do you collect anything?
I don't really. I used to collect Yorkie bar wrappers. Yorkie is a chocolate bar in Ireland and England, and for some reason, I like the wrapper, so I kept a few of them. And I put them up on my wall in my bedroom, and then I kept collecting them, and eventually I had 1,000 of them. And I would go to shops and ask when they were like throwing out the ones that had gone out of date, and I would get the Yorkie bar wrappers.
And this is up till 5 years ago.
This was, I gave that up at the millennium.
Right. I was thinking as you were saying Yorkie bars, I'm like, do they have like a Willy Wonka thing going on there? And maybe you're looking for the golden ticket?
I can't remember what it was. I think I liked the cut. My father was like a sign writer, so we had a lot of logos kind of all over our house, of like or his workshop, of different kind of iconic looking symbols. And there was something about the Yorkie one that I found quite interesting.
Do you remember your first movie or TV show crush?
Oh gosh. Maybe Nev Campbell on Party of Five. Is that the right show?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Do you own any movie or TV show props?
Oh gosh, I don't think so. Do I? No, I don't think so.
What's the background photo on your phone?
It's like the bit where you haven't touched it is my baby, and the one where it's the not like locked screen is my toddler.
Okay. Family photos.
Family photos.
What TV show have you watched all the way through more than once?
The West Wing.
I hear that from a lot of people.
Yeah.
This Aaron Sorkin guy.
And 30 Rock.
Yeah. Tina Fey.
Yeah.
You were picking out these are
good people.
They are talented,
Yeah.
if you will. And this is a this or that. There's 3 of these. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad?
Oof. I don't know. That's tight.
It's very...
I'd probably go for Breaking Bad.
All right, have you watched all of Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Do you have a theory on how it's going to end? No spoilers.
I think
in
it'll
case
end well. I think the wildest thing that could happen is at the end they just sign a treaty. And everybody's like, I think that, we all got something that we wanted. And they're kind of coming out and speaking to the masses. And they're like, look, sometimes you just have to compromise.
Right. That is definitely how the show is going to end. 100%. Han Solo or Indiana Jones?
Oh, God. To do what?
If you could only if one of those characters, I don't know how I'm going to phrase this, but it's like, which one? You're on a desert island. I guess are you taking the Star Wars movies?
Desert island.
Or which character do you like?
I'm going to go with the one with the plane.
So that's like a tie between them?
I think so. I think they're both quite strong, aren't they? Yeah, I'm going to go with Indiana, I think.
Okay. Worst job you've had?
I've had a few buttes. I was a pot washer for a good while. That's not that fun. But once I worked for an events company where I had to dress up as the Easter Bunny, and it was for a very well-known chocolate brand, but it was like a corporation thing where they were releasing what Easter eggs they were going to have out that year, but at Christmas, because that's when the trade papers were going to be talking about it. So I had to dress up as the Easter Bunny, and like execs would come and sit on my knee and have a picture taken.
Sounds like you loved it.
And it was clearly after a boozy lunch on their behalf. So it got quite gropey.
I know you obviously you work a lot. What are you excited about that's coming up for you that you can mention?
We're about to start filming Get Shorty Season 3.
Congratulations,
Thank
by the
you
way.
very
It's
much.
hard to get one show on the air, let alone 2 and 3 seasons.
I know, it's pretty sweet. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm really looking forward to people seeing State of the Union, because I think it's very special.
My last question for you. Do you remember what it was that made you interested in the entertainment industry? Did you see like a performance or a play, and you said, I really want to do that?
I think when I saw Boogie Nights for the first time, I was kind of struck as like, this is something very special, the way that Paul Thomas Anderson creates characters. Usually I would watch movies and really enjoy them, but not see myself in them. And then you kind of see John C. Reilly in Boogie Nights and Philip Seymour Hoffman and that kind of new breed of actors that seem to fuse humor and naturalism together so deftly. That became something to aspire to.
That movie is fantastic. I sincerely hope that everyone tunes in for State of the Union. When can people see it?
Real soon.
I'm going to leave it there and say thank you so much for coming in. Sincerely, and a huge thank you to Kia Telluride for being such a great sponsor. It's the only reason we get to be at Sundance and do interviews like this. So thank you so much, Kia. Thank you again for coming in.
Pleasure. Thank you.